Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This week I'm doing things a little bit differently. I'm going to be sharing some personal lessons of mine that have helped me in my healing journey. From the person who I was in my 20s and early 30s to who I am today, it's been a long and difficult journey, but there's some invaluable lessons that have shaped me to be who I am, and they're basically tools in my back pocket that I utilize even today. I'm not perfect. My healing is not complete. Nobody's healing is ever complete because life is constant. But to be able to overcome a lot of that childhood trauma, to be able to deal with difficult situations by regulating my emotions, and being able to do so much of that and really feeling like myself has put me in a position where I want to share some of those lessons with you and see if you can benefit from them as well. But before I dive into that, just a quick introduction. My name is Chaitni, and I am a health coach and a nutritionist. I help clients with weight management and stress management through healthy habit formation, positive lifestyle changes, and through intuitive and mindful eating practices. So there's no dieting involved whatsoever. If you enjoy this video, then please make sure to like, subscribe, and share. I promise you will get some value out of it. And you can also follow me on Instagram at Imperfect Bodies by C Modi. Lastly, I also send out bi-weekly blogs, so if that's more of your thing and you enjoy reading, and I do share my personal journey in that, then please make sure to sign up for that. The link for that is in the description. So let me go ahead and get started. How do I know that these lessons have worked for me? Well, the person I was in my 20s and early 30s, I was lost, I was broken, I was constantly seeking love and validation. I was such a people pleaser. I really didn't know how to regulate my emotions. A lot of times I didn't even know what I was feeling. So to go from that to the person I am today, who is more confident, who's able to say no without feeling guilty, who's able to set the boundaries, who's able to have difficult conversations, communicate better without giving the silent treatment, stonewalling, all of that good stuff. And most importantly, the greenest flag of all is today I feel like myself, and I haven't felt like that in, I don't know, I don't even remember the last time I felt like that. So this is the most that I feel like myself, because a lot of those damaged layers, or a lot of those protective layers that were there, they've all come off. And yes, there have been consequences to this healing. There are always consequences to everything. And one of them is my circle has become a lot smaller. I have lost family, I have lost friends who have decided they don't like this version of me, or they don't want this version of me that speaks up or stands up for herself. And that's okay. So that is a loss that I have dealt with, but it's a very, very small price to pay to be able to feel like myself day in and day out. So that is where my healing journey has taken me. So with that, let me jump into the lessons. The first lesson is let go of what you cannot control. I can't tell you how many years I spent trying to control every damn thing in my life. Whether it was, and that also led to being a perfectionist. And the truth is, you cannot control anything, especially other people's reactions, especially other people's behaviors, other people's feelings. None of that is in your control. You can't control the weather. You can't control if you're going to have a bad day. You can't control if you're going to have a good day. But there are some things that you can control, and the biggest one of that is your reaction to what is happening. So instead of wasting your energy on what you cannot control, focus on what you can control. Just to give you a personal example, a few years ago when COVID hit, I worked in the hospitality industry, and I was furloughed, which is basically a forced break without any pay, and there's no guarantee that I would be hired back. So I'm a single income household, and I have, absolutely no idea how I'm going to pay my bills or what's going to happen. And there was so much uncertainty and so much fear. I wasn't sleeping well at all, and there was nothing that could calm me down. And that is when I turned to meditation, and that changed my life forever. So in that moment, I could have either sat there, been really angry, been really miserable, been scared, all of those things, and not gotten anything out of it. But yes, I was scared, I was angry, but that lasted for a short time. And then it was, okay, what do I do with all this time that I have? What are some things that I've been wanting to do but haven't been able to do that I can do given COVID is out there or is everywhere? And that's when I turned to meditation. So remember this first lesson. It's, let go of what you cannot control. It will serve you very, very well in life. Okay, lesson number 2 is every downfall, every setback is a lesson. It is trying to communicate with you. It is trying to tell you something. You know, if you're one of those people that anytime shit gets scary or something feels like it's, you know, a huge hit, and your immediate reaction is, oh, why does this always happen to me? Or why is this happening to me? I'm just unlucky. You know, this is how my life is. My life is just a complete shit show. If that is your typical reaction, then this lesson is really for you, because every time there is that setback, it is trying to teach you something. And if you don't learn from it, and if you don't start to change your ways, not anybody else's, but your way, you will have to learn that lesson over and over and over again. That is what happened to me in a lot of my relationships. You know, I really didn't know how to love myself, and I expected somebody else to help me love myself. And because of that, I kept choosing the same person over and over again, or choosing the same unhealthy relationships over and over again. I'm not just talking about romantic relationships, but, you know, certain family members, certain friends, even colleagues at work. So that can only change once you sit down and you look at that setback as a lesson and not as failure, and you start to analyze it, and you start to see what patterns are noticeable. What are some things that you do constantly that you can change that would actually benefit you? How are you managing your choices? How are you managing your reaction? Once you start to introspect a little bit and get some answers, you will see that you stop learning that same lesson over and over and over again. So any kind of setback that you experience, because it will happen, even in the future, you might experience some kind of downfall. Just stop for a second. You know, stop blaming luck, stop blaming your circumstances, stop blaming everything, and just stop for a second and say, okay, what is the universe trying to teach me here? What do I need to learn so I can stop learning this over and over again? Number 3 is trust the process even when you're hurting. This is one of the hardest to do. If you've ever experienced a breakup, or if you've ever, not gotten the job, your dream job that you really wanted, anytime you've heard no for something that really mattered, you know, it's hard to overcome that. It's hard to see that this is actually for the best. But trust that process, because only when one door shuts can another door open. And here I will share something personal with you. There was a point in my life where I was about to be married, and it was called off by the other individual. I had shifted states. I had no job, so there was no income. And when the marriage was called off, I had nowhere to go because I'd sold my house. I had no job. I had nowhere to live. And I had nothing except for a few people in my life, you know, my family and my friends, who opened their doors and to their homes and their hearts to me. But the more I fought the circumstances, the more I asked myself, you know, why did this person make this decision? Or why was I so stupid to sell my house and trust this person and move here? Or, you know, why on earth would I have made the decision to quit my job? It was not getting me anywhere. It was just leading to anger, and it was leading to fear, and it was leading to frustration. So the minute I stopped asking those questions and I told myself, you know what, I have faith in myself, I can do this, I have faith in the universe, things will work out. I just need to do, again, what's in my control, which is I need to start looking for a job, I need to start looking for apartments, I need to start packing so I can move back to where I was. That is when things started to change. So I had to trust the process. I knew something good was going to come of this, and I had to trust myself, and I had to trust what was happening to know that, okay, this is going to lead to something better. But growth is always uncomfortable. There's a lot of pain. There's a lot of healing that's also required. So I was going through that painful process so I could finally get to a point where I would call my parents halfway across the world and say, you know what? I want to come home. I want to be with you. I want to spend the next 10 or 15 years that you have left with you. That would have never happened if the marriage hadn't been called off, if I hadn't moved states, if I hadn't quit my job. I mean, yes, I found another apartment, I found another job, I moved back initially to where I was living, so all of that happened, but something in me really felt empty, and I felt like what I really wanted was to be there for my parents, and was to be physically closer to them and not just see them, once a year, or if I'm lucky, twice a year. So you have to trust the process. And like I said, that's a hard truth to learn. But in the moment, the less you stop fighting and the more you stop doing to alleviate your circumstances, the easier it gets. And never lose that faith. Never, never, never lose that faith. Because in the moment, it's going to feel really ugly and really painful and bleak and hopeless and all of that. But you will get to a point where you will look back and say, oh my goodness, look at my journey. I can't believe I'm here. I mean, yeah, that sucked. But because that happened is why I am here today. So always, always trust the process. I'm going to stop here just to not overwhelm you with some of the other lessons, but I will share the others in the next video, just so you can kind of absorb what I've shared with you today and process it and really apply it to your life, and see, where it's relevant and what are some changes that you can make, whether it's to your thinking, to your perspective, to your habits, or to the choices that you're making. So I'm going to leave you here. Thank you so much for stopping by, as always, and I will catch you here very soon with the rest of part 2 of this video with some of the other lessons that have helped me heal, and I hope you can benefit from that. Thank you, and take really good care of yourself. I'll catch you very soon.